Beneath the dust of time, hidden under the endless plains of South Asia, lie civilizations older than history itself, cities that vanish without a trace, leaving behind only whispers of their grandeur. Harappa, Mohenjo-Daro, forgotten metropolises that once thrived with life, commerce, and culture. For thousands of years, the world has searched for answers. Who were the people of the Indus Valley? How did they live? And why did their cities, advanced beyond imagination, vanish without warning? Stretching over 1.25 million square kilometers, the Indus Valley Civilization was one of the world's earliest urban marvels. Around 2600 BCE, Harappa and Mohenjo-Daro stood as thriving hubs of human ingenuity. Streets laid out in perfect grids, advanced drainage systems, and multi-story buildings. Structures that challenge even today's urban planning. Estimates suggest these cities housed over 40,000 inhabitants each, living in harmony with the river that sustained them. Trade flourished across thousands of miles, reaching as far as Mesopotamia. Yet, unlike Egypt or Sumer, their story is shrouded in mystery. No monumental tombs, no grand temples, only silent, orderly streets speaking volumes in their quiet way. Imagine walking through a city where every home had access to clean water, where bathhouses and drainage systems rivaled modern engineering, and where society valued order, trade, and knowledge. Artisans created exquisite seals, jewelry, and pottery, their designs echoing a culture of sophistication and precision. Yet, despite their advancement, these people left no written history we can fully decipher. Over 4,000 years later, archaeologists struggle to understand their language, their governance, their beliefs. Every brick, every artifact, every abandoned street is a message from the past, a message we are only beginning to interpret. And then, silence. Around 1900 BCE, the cities were abandoned. The mighty Indus River shifted its course. Floods and droughts disrupted lives, and a civilization that once defined the human experience slowly disappeared. Historians debate endlessly. Was it climate change, disease, invasion, or a combination of forces? Even today, nearly 70% of the civilization remains buried, waiting to tell its story. The legacy of the Indus Valley is not just in ruins. It is in the foundations of modern urban life. Sewage systems, urban planning, and trade networks we take for granted today have roots in Harappa and Mohenjo-Daro. And in South Asia, every discovery strengthens cultural identity, reminding millions that they descend from a civilization that once amazed the world. In Pakistan alone, over 1,000 Indus sites have been identified, each telling a story of human resilience, creativity, and aspiration. And the work continues. Every artifact recovered, every site mapped, brings us closer to understanding the brilliance of a civilization that thrived for millennia ago. Modern excavations reveal clues, the meticulously laid bricks, granaries, and water systems. Every discovery hints at a society advanced, egalitarian, and resilient, yet fragile in the face of nature's relentless forces. The cities of the Indus Valley were forgotten by time, but they are not lost to us. Their streets, their innovations, and their humanity continue to speak. They remind us that civilization is not defined by monuments alone, but by the enduring spirit of its people. In the quiet corners of Harappa, in the sun-baked walls of Mohenjo-Daro, lies a profound truth. The past is not merely a story to be told. It is a mirror reflecting what we can achieve and what we must preserve. The Indus Valley calls to us, whispering across millennia, asking us to remember and to build a future worthy of its legacy. The story of the Indus Valley Civilization does not end with the decline of Harappa and Mohenjo-Daro. In fact, their influence stretches far beyond the ruins, leaving traces that continue to shape the culture, technology, and identity of South Asia. From the layout of cities to systems of trade, from art to agriculture, the legacy of the civilization is woven into the very fabric of the region, reminding us that history is not only what has been preserved in stone, but also what lives on in ideas, practices, and inspiration. One of the most enduring contributions of the Indus Valley Civilization is its approach to urban planning. The precision of streets, the organization of homes, and the systems of drainage and water supply set a standard for city design that would echo through generations. Later urban centers in the region, though built under different rulers and cultures, often reflect the same principles of order and functionality. The emphasis on clean streets, efficient drainage, and well-organized marketplaces shows a vision of urban life that was far ahead of its time and continues to inspire modern planners. Trade, too, remains a vital part of their legacy. The Indus people established extensive networks, exchanging goods such as beads, pottery, and metals with distant regions, including Mesopotamia. This created not only wealth, but also connections that brought knowledge, culture, and ideas across continents. Even today, the spirit of trade and commerce in South Asia reflects a history that stretches back thousands of years. The standardized weights and measures used by the Indus people suggest that they understood the importance of fairness, efficiency, and trust in commerce, principles that still underpin trade systems around the world. The art and craftsmanship of the Indus Valley also left a lasting impression. Terracotta figurines, intricate jewelry, and engraved seals reveal a culture that valued creativity, skill, and expression. These artistic achievements influenced later civilizations, inspiring designs, motifs, and techniques that would evolve over centuries. The attention to detail in both everyday objects and ceremonial artifacts demonstrates a society that appreciated beauty as much as utility. And this dual focus continues to resonate in the artistic traditions of the region. Agriculture and technology provide another window into their enduring influence. The Indus people were skilled farmers, understanding irrigation, crop rotation, and animal husbandry. Tools and techniques they developed laid the foundation for agricultural practices that persisted for centuries. Their innovations in water management, from wells to reservoirs, demonstrate an understanding of sustainability and resource planning. These lessons are relevant even today, as modern societies grapple with water scarcity, urban growth, and the need to balance human needs with environmental realities. The social and cultural ideas of the Indus Valley also echo across time. Although much of their writing remains undeciphered, the artifacts suggest values of cooperation, community, and organization. Homes were standardized, suggesting equality, while public spaces like baths and granaries foster a sense of shared responsibility. These concepts of civic life and social order influenced subsequent civilizations in the region, contributing to the development of societal structures, governance, and communal life that continued long after the cities themselves were abandoned. Perhaps the most compelling aspect of their legacy is the way it continues to inspire curiosity and research. Each discovery, from a simple pottery shard to a complex urban layout, invites questions about human innovation, adaptability, and creativity. Scholars, archaeologists, and historians around the world continue to study these cities, uncovering insights that shape our understanding of early civilizations. The Indus Valley Civilization challenges assumptions about technological progress, social organization, and cultural development, showing that advanced societies existed far earlier than once thought. Modern culture, too, reflects the imprint of the Indus Valley. Festivals, crafts, and local traditions in South Asia bear subtle echoes of ancient practices. The emphasis on community, trade, art, and agricultural management carries forward values that were cultivated thousands of years ago. While the people in cities may have disappeared, the principles they embody remain alive, quietly shaping the way societies function and flourish today. The enduring lessons of Harappa and Mohenjo-Daro are also deeply human. They remind us that civilization is not defined solely by monumental achievements or famous rulers. True legacy lies in the way people live, work, cooperate, and innovate. The Indus Valley Civilization was remarkable not only because of its technology and urban design, but because it demonstrated how humans can organize, sustain, and enrich communal life. These lessons remain relevant across the world, encouraging reflection on how societies balance growth, resource management, and cultural continuity. Standing amidst the ruins today, it is impossible not to feel the connection across millennia. The streets, walls, and artifacts whisper stories of creativity, resilience, and wisdom. They remind us that the past is not distant. It is a foundation on which we continue to build. Every brick and seal is a testament to a society that valued knowledge, cooperation, and ingenuity. By studying these cities, we not only honor the people who built them, but also gain insight into what it means to be human. The drive to create, to organize, and to leave a mark on the world. The legacy of the Indus Valley Civilization ultimately challenges us to think beyond monuments and artifacts. It is about the enduring impact of ideas, practices, and innovation. Harappa and Mohenjo-Daro may have been abandoned, Yet their influence persists, inspiring generations to appreciate the ingenuity of the past and apply its lessons to the present and future. They encourage curiosity, reflection, and admiration, reminding us that even when civilizations fade, their contributions continue to shape humanity. The story of the Indus Valley Civilization comes to life not just through its ruins, but through the tireless work of archaeologists who have spent generations uncovering the secrets buried beneath the earth. For decades, teams have carefully excavated the mounds of Harappa, Mohenjo-Daro, and other lesser-known sites, revealing cities that were far more advanced than anyone had imagined. Each discovery has challenged assumptions about early urban life and transformed our understanding of human history. The first excavations at Harappa began in the 1920s, revealing streets, houses, and walls that immediately suggested a level of planning previously thought impossible for that era. Soon after, Mohenjo-Daro yielded similar surprises: straight roads, large granaries, and the famous Great Bath. These early discoveries shocked the world, proving that complex urban life existed in South Asia more than 4,000 years ago. Since then, thousands of sites have been identified, each offering fragments of civilization that continues to captivate historians, scientists, and the public alike. Modern archaeology has expanded the tools and methods used to study these ancient cities. Aerial photography and satellite imaging now allow researchers to map entire landscapes, revealing the scale of settlements that might otherwise remain hidden. Ground-penetrating radar and magnetometry can detect buried structures without disturbing the soil, while 3D modeling reconstructs streets, houses, and public buildings in ways that make it possible to walk through the past virtually. These technologies have brought clarity to questions that once seemed impossible to answer, allowing us to visualize life in cities that disappeared thousands of years ago. Artifacts form another crucial part of this investigation. Every pottery shard, seal, and tool tells a story about the people who once lived there. The seals, often engraved with animals and symbols, provide hints of administrative control, trade, and cultural expression. Jewelry made from gold, copper, and semi-precious stones reflects both aesthetic sensibility and social identity. Even everyday objects such as weights, cooking utensils, and toys reveal society that value precision, organization, and practicalities of daily life. Each find, no matter how small, adds a piece of the puzzle of understanding these long-lost cities. Excavations have also shed light on the social and economic structures of the Indus Valley. Granaries suggest centralized food storage, while workshops and marketplaces indicate organized production and trade. Streets were not random. They were carefully planned to support movement, commerce, and sanitation. The standardization of brick sizes across hundreds of kilometers shows coordination on an unprecedented scale. Together, these discoveries suggest a society that combined technological skill with social organization, creating a level of urban sophistication that rivals other contemporary civilizations. Beyond the physical artifacts, archaeologists are piecing together clues about the daily lives, beliefs, and practices of the Indus people. Terracotta figurines, clay toys, and ritual objects hint at spiritual life, family structures, and recreation, while their writing remains undeciphered. The consistency of symbols on seals and tablets suggests a system of communication and record-keeping. These glimpses into daily life allow us to imagine a world where people lived, worked, and celebrated together, creating a civilization that was both functional and culturally rich. International collaboration has further advanced our understanding. Archaeologists from around the world have contributed expertise in fields ranging from geology to paleobotany, helping to reconstruct the environment in which these cities thrived. Analysis of ancient pollen, soil, and animal remains provides insight into agriculture, diet, and climate conditions. DNA studies of human remains offer glimpses into health, migration patterns, and genetic diversity. Together, these interdisciplinary approaches create a fuller, more nuanced picture of a civilization that existed in remarkable harmony with its environment. Yet, much of the Indus Valley remains unexplored. Estimates suggest that nearly 70% of the civilization is still buried beneath the earth, hidden from view. This makes every excavation a potential breakthrough, and each new discovery brings questions as well as answers. Archaeologists are not only uncovering the past, they are constantly revising our understanding of it, reminding us that history is alive, dynamic, and often surprising. The work done in the last century also highlights the importance of preservation. Modern cities and agriculture have encroached on ancient sites, putting them at risk. Efforts to document, protect, and restore these ruins ensure that future generations can continue to explore and learn from the Indus Valley. In doing so, archaeology becomes more than the study of the past. It becomes a bridge connecting contemporary society with the people who shaped our earliest urban experiences. The discoveries of Harappa and Mohenjo-Daro are not merely academic achievements. They inspire a sense of wonder and curiosity about human creativity, ingenuity, and resilience. They remind us that advanced societies existed in South Asia long before the rise of more well-known civilizations, challenging us to rethink timelines and narratives. Through careful excavation, analysis, and preservation, these cities continue to tell a story of innovation, culture, and the enduring human desire to build, organize, and thrive. Archaeology transforms silence into conversation. From broken bricks and clay seals to grand public baths and streets that run in perfect grids, the Indus Valley speaks to us across millennia. It asks questions about who we are, where we come from, and how civilizations can rise, flourish, and leave a legacy long after the streets fall silent. With each new dig, with each careful brush of soil, the story of Harappa and Mohenjo-Daro grows richer, more vivid, and more essential to understanding the history of humanity. The story of the Indus Valley Civilization is not only one of remarkable achievement, but also of sudden mystery. Around 1900 BCE, the bustling cities of Harappa and Mohenjo-Daro, which had thrived for centuries, began to decline. Streets once filled with traders, children, and craftsmen grew silent. Homes were abandoned, workshops emptied, and the life that pulsed through these cities slowly vanished. Archaeologists and historians have long asked why a civilization so advanced, organized, and resilient would simply disappear. The answers remain elusive, but each theory offers a window into the challenges these people faced. One of the most compelling explanations involves the shifting course of the Indus River. The river, which had provided fertile soil, water for drinking and irrigation, and a route for trade, may have changed its path over time. Floods and droughts would have disrupted agriculture, reduced trade, and forced communities to relocate. The people of the Indus Valley were deeply connected to their environment, yet even the most sophisticated urban planning could not always withstand the power of nature. When the river no longer flowed where it once did, the cities could not sustain themselves as they had for centuries. Climate change likely played a major role as well. Studies of sediment layers and ancient pollen suggest that the region may have experienced significant shifts in rainfall patterns. Extended droughts could have devastated crops, leaving populations vulnerable to hunger and disease. Even a society that had mastered sanitation and urban design could not survive prolonged scarcity. It is a stark reminder that human innovation, as brilliant as it may be, is always subject to the forces of nature. Some researchers suggest that internal social factors may have contributed to the decline. While the Indus cities show little evidence of warfare or violent conflict, the strain of sustaining large populations in a changing environment could have led to social stress. Communities that once cooperated efficiently may have struggled to adapt when resources became scarce. The disappearance of standardized construction and urban planning in later settlements hints that knowledge and organization may have eroded as society fragmented. It is possible that without the cohesion and cooperation that had sustained the cities, people gradually abandoned their homes in search of survival. Evidence also points to economic disruption. The Indus Valley Civilization had long depended on trade, not only within its own settlements, but also with distant regions, including Mesopotamia. If trade routes were disrupted, either by environmental change or by the movement of other civilizations, the cities would have lost access to essential goods and resources. Markets that once hummed with activity would have fallen silent. Workshops closed, and artisans left without patrons. Economic collapse, combined with environmental stress, could have made life in these great cities untenable. Disease may have played a role as well. Dense urban centers, though advanced in sanitation, were still vulnerable to epidemics. Contaminated water or the introduction of new pathogens could have weakened populations already stressed by drought or famine. Even a few years of high mortality could have accelerated the abandonment of neighborhoods, leaving streets and homes empty. While we may never know the exact impact of disease, It is clear that the combination of environmental, social, and economic pressures created a perfect storm for decline. Yet, even as the cities fell silent, the legacy of the Indus Valley endured. Archaeological evidence shows that many people likely migrated to smaller villages and towns, carried with them knowledge of agriculture, craftsmanship, and urban design. While the great cities were abandoned, the ideas and practices developed there continued to influence the region for generations. The disappearance of Harappa and Mohenjo-Daro was not the end of the story. It was a transformation. Civilization adapted, shifted, and re-emerged in new forms, building on the achievements of the past. The mystery surrounding the decline also adds to the allure of the Indus Valley Civilization. Unlike Egypt or Mesopotamia, where records and monuments provide clear narratives, the Indus cities leave gaps in story. We see the structures, the artifacts, the streets and baths, yet the people themselves vanish in the historical record. Each excavation, each shard of pottery, each sealed token becomes a clue, teasing us with the lives and struggles of society that managed to reach heights of urban sophistication before retreating quietly from history. Standing among the ruins today, one cannot help but feel a sense of both wonder and melancholy. These cities were once alive with activity, ingenuity, and human connection. Now, they are silent witnesses to the resilience and fragility of human civilization. They remind us that even the most advanced societies can face sudden change, that environmental and social pressures can alter the course of history, and that the story of human achievement is often intertwined with mystery. The decline of Harappa and Mohenjo-Daro does not diminish the greatness of the Indus Valley Civilization. Rather, it makes it more remarkable. In their rise and fall, we witness both the brilliance and vulnerability of humanity. The cities teach lessons that resonate across time. That adaptation, cooperation, and awareness of our environment are essential, that knowledge must be preserved and shared, and that every civilization, no matter how strong, faces the unpredictable challenges of the world. As we piece together the story of their decline, we gain not only historical insight, but also a deeper understanding of resilience, innovation, and the enduring human spirit. The mystery of their disappearance challenges us to imagine, to question, and to reflect on the delicate balance between human society and the forces that shape it. Harappa and Mohenjo-Daro stand as silent teachers, urging us to remember the past while we navigate the present, inspiring curiosity, reflection, and awe. The cities of Harappa and Mohenjo-Daro were not just centers of population. They were masterpieces of urban planning and engineering. Walking through their ruins, one could see evidence of careful thought and deliberate design, reflecting a civilization that understood order, efficiency, and the needs of a large population long before modern cities existed. Every brick, every street, every drainage channel tells a story of careful planning and remarkable foresight. The streets of these cities were laid out in grids, running straight for hundreds of meters, intersecting at precise angles. This was not random construction. It was a vision of order, one that allowed the movement of people, goods, and water flow seamlessly through the city. Main streets were wide enough to accommodate carts and crowds, while narrower lanes led to individual homes and workshops. This grid pattern minimized confusion and maximized efficiency, creating a sense of structure that must have shaped daily life in ways we can only imagine. Houses were more than simple shelters. Many had multiple rooms, courtyards, and even private wells. Some buildings were elevated above street level, suggesting awareness of seasonal flooding and a concern for protecting property and inhabitants. Walls were thick and sturdy, constructed with carefully baked bricks that ensured durability. Even small details, such as the placement of doorways and windows, reflect thoughtful design, hinting at an understanding of ventilation, privacy, and comfort that was ahead of its time. Perhaps the most astonishing feature of these cities was their drainage system. Modern engineers marvel at how effectively the Indus people managed water. Streets had covered drains that connected to larger channels, ensuring that wastewater from homes, workshops, and public baths was removed from the living areas efficiently. This system reduced the risk of disease and created cleaner, healthier conditions for residents. For a civilization existing more than 4,000 years ago, this level of urban sanitation is nothing short of extraordinary. Public structures also reflect careful planning. Mohenjo-Daro had a massive great bath, an enormous pool surrounded by steps and platforms, suggesting not just utility but ritual or social significance. Granaries, too, were strategically located near main streets, indicating an organized approach to food storage and distribution. The design of these communal buildings points to a society that valued both practicality and shared resources. Each structure served a purpose, and every purpose was woven into the fabric of city life. Trade and transportation were equally considered in city design. Streets allowed easy movement of goods, while strategically placed marketplaces facilitated commerce. Seals found in excavations suggest a system of measurement and regulation, indicating that trade was not left to chance but was organized and monitored. Even the materials used in construction, such as bricks and timber, were standardized, reflecting a level of coordination and oversight rarely seen in contemporary civilizations. The Indus cities were not just built to exist, they were built to function efficiently on a large scale. The engineering of water supply and storage reveals a deep understanding of natural resources. Public wells and reservoirs complemented private wells, ensuring that water was accessible to everyone. The Great Bath, while possibly symbolic, also demonstrates knowledge of waterproofing and water retention. Rainwater may have been collected and stored in specific areas, further highlighting an awareness of the importance of managing natural resources. Every decision in these cities, from the layout of streets to the placement of drains, reflects a civilization that planned not only for the present but also for the long-term sustainability of its urban environment. Even the smallest artifacts give clues about organization and engineering. Uniform bricks, standardized weights, and carefully measured pottery all point to a system where precision mattered. This precision was not merely aesthetic, it was functional. It allowed buildings to last, trade to be fair, and the cities to operate smoothly. The Indus people had a mindset that combined practicality with foresight, creating urban spaces that could support tens of thousands of people reliably. Another remarkable aspect of Indus urban planning was the balance between public and private spaces. Houses were arranged with courtyards. Streets were wide enough for movement but still intimate enough to foster neighborhood life. And public spaces like granaries and baths were accessible yet controlled. This balance reflects a thoughtful approach to city life, one that understood the needs of individuals and the community alike. It suggests a society that valued cooperation, order, and the welfare of its citizens. What makes these engineering achievements even more impressive is that they were accomplished without the modern tools or machinery we rely on today. Bricks were handmade, leveled by eye, and carefully baked. Water systems were designed without modern pumps, yet they functioned effectively. Roads were planned with precision, yet all measurements were likely made by hand. The results speak to a civilization of meticulous thinkers, innovators, and planners, whose knowledge and skill created urban centers capable of lasting for centuries. As we explore these ruins today, we are reminded that the greatness of a civilization is not measured solely by monuments or rulers. It is measured by the thought, care, and ingenuity poured into daily life. Harappa and Mohenjo-Daro were cities built with vision, intelligence, and understanding of human needs that continues to inspire awe. They show us that advanced planning, careful engineering, and attention to detail are timeless qualities that allowed people to live together in large communities, to thrive in challenging environments, and to leave behind a legacy that continues to captivate the world. The urban mastery of the Indus Valley invites us to reconsider what we know about ancient civilizations. These were not primitive societies struggling to survive. They were thoughtful, deliberate, and innovative. Their streets, homes, and public buildings were more than stone and brick. They were expressions of intelligence, cooperation, and foresight. Standing among the ruins today, one cannot help but feel the echoes of their vision, the order they created, and the lessons their cities still hold for us thousands of years later. Life in the cities of Harappa and Mohenjo-Daro was far more sophisticated than most people imagine when they think of civilizations over 4,000 years old. These were not scattered settlements or simple villages. They were well-organized urban centers where thousands of people lived, worked, and traded, all while maintaining a delicate balance between daily life and the larger needs of the community. Walking through the streets of these cities, one can almost hear the hum of life, the chatter of merchants, the laughter of children, the rhythmic pounding of craftsmen shaping tools, pottery, and jewelry. Homes were carefully constructed with baked bricks, designed to withstand the challenges of both climate and time. Many houses had multiple rooms, often arranged around a central courtyard that served as a private space for families to cook, socialize, and rest. The interiors reveal a surprising attention to comfort and functionality. Raised platforms suggest beds or seating areas, while niches in walls may have held lamps or small storage containers. It is clear that the people of the Indus Valley valued both practicality and order in their daily lives. Water was central to life in these cities, and the Indus people understood its importance better than most ancient civilizations. Each house typically had its own private well, while public baths and communal water tanks were carefully maintained. Wastewater and drainage systems were designed to carry used water away efficiently, preventing contamination of living spaces. Streets were aligned in grids, with drainage channels running alongside them, demonstrating a level of urban planning that rivals many modern cities. The attention to cleanliness and public health is remarkable, especially given the time period. Commerce and trade formed the backbone of these urban societies. Markets were filled with goods that reflected both local craftsmanship and distant connections. Beads made from semi-precious stones, finely crafted pottery, and bronze tools were common, while seals engraved with symbols suggest a system of trade regulation or record-keeping. The reach of their trade networks was astonishing. Evidence shows that they exchanged goods with regions as far as Mesopotamia, indicating a civilization deeply connected to a wider world. Trade was not only economic, it was a channel for ideas, technology, and cultural exchange. Art and craft were central to daily life, offering glimpses into the creativity of these people. Terracotta figurines, often depicting humans and animals, reveal attention to detail and a sense of aesthetics. Jewelry made from gold, copper, and semi-precious stones suggests both personal adornment and social identity. Pottery often carried intricate designs, indicating skill as well as artistic expression. Even small objects, such as combs, weights, and tools, were crafted with precision, reflecting a culture that valued both utility and beauty. Social structure in the Indus cities is still partially shrouded in mystery, but the artifacts and layouts of homes and streets offer clues. While no grand palaces or monumental tombs have been found, the uniformity of housing and the lack of extreme wealth disparities suggests society that may have emphasized equality and community. The presence of specialized workshops, markets, and public spaces indicates that people had distinct roles, yet they all contributed to the larger functioning of the city. Cooperation and coordination appear to have been essential, not just for survival, but for the flourishing of civilization that could support tens of thousands of residents. Children likely played a visible role in everyday life, learning the skills and trades of their families from a young age. Craftsmen passed down knowledge, artisans honed their skills, and merchants taught the next generation the ways of commerce. Daily routines revolved around work, social interaction, and community activities. While the specific details of religious practices remain uncertain, small figurines and symbols suggest rituals and cultural practices that were intertwined with daily life, offering comfort, guidance, and identity to the people. The cities were also remarkably resilient. Built near the Indus River, they took advantage of fertile soil and a steady water supply. At the same time, living close to the river meant that the people needed to understand and adapt to its changing moods. Floods and droughts could threaten crops and settlements, and the construction of elevated platforms and sophisticated drainage systems demonstrates a proactive approach to environmental challenges. Their ability to thrive in such a setting speaks to both ingenuity and deep observation of the natural world. What is perhaps most compelling about life in Harappa and Mohenjo-Daro is how relatable it feels across millennia. The concerns of these people, shelter, water, food, trade, community, and family, mirror our own in many ways. They were innovators and thinkers, yet they were human in every sense. Through the lens of archaeology, we can imagine their laughter, their struggles, their creativity, and their dreams. Each artifact, each structure, is a fragment of the story, a moment frozen in time that invites us to reconstruct the lives of people who lived thousands of years ago. As we uncover the streets, homes, and public spaces of these cities, we are reminded that civilization is not defined solely by kings, monuments, or wars. It is also defined by how people live, how they organize themselves, how they cooperate, and how they create meaning in daily life. Harappa and Mohenjo-Daro are extraordinary not just for their technological achievements, but for their vision of community. for the way life itself was designed to thrive, connect, and endure. Standing amidst the ruins today, it is impossible not to feel a profound connection to these ancient people. Their lives continue to inspire curiosity, wonder, and admiration. Through their streets and artifacts, we glimpse a world that was advanced, ordered, and vibrant. A civilization that challenges our assumptions about the past and invites us to imagine how humans, working together, can create societies that endure. In exploring the lives of Harappa and Mohenjo-Daro, we uncover not only history, but the enduring spirit of human creativity and resilience. Beneath the vast plains of South Asia, stretched across what is now Pakistan and northwest India, lies a civilization that the world almost forgot. For thousands of years, the cities of Harappa and Mohenjo-Daro slept beneath layers of soil and sand, quietly holding the secrets of a people who lived long before the pyramids of Egypt or the great cities of Mesopotamia. These were not small villages or temporary settlements. They were thriving urban centers, bustling with life, meticulously planned and full of innovation. When you imagine an ancient civilization, you might picture kings and golden thrones or grand temples reaching toward the sky. But the Indus Valley Civilization was different. Its greatness was not displayed in monumental tombs or towering monuments. Instead, it was embedded in its streets, its homes, and the rhythm of daily life. From the way water flowed to the city to the layout of houses along perfectly straight roads, every element reveals a people who valued organization, order, and practical wisdom. Harappa and Mohenjo-Daro were built with uniform bricks, made to exact dimensions. Archaeologists have discovered that most of the bricks were baked to be strong and consistent, suggesting a standardized system for construction. Streets were laid out in grids, almost like a modern city, and houses often had multiple rooms with courtyards at the center. But perhaps the most astonishing feature was their approach to sanitation. Even by today's standards, the drainage systems of these cities were advanced. Water from baths and kitchens would flow into covered drains that ran along the streets, keeping the city clean and reducing the risk of disease. In a time when much of the world relied on simple wells or rivers for water, the Indus cities had a sophisticated understanding of hygiene and urban planning. Trade and economy were equally impressive. The Indus Valley was not isolated. Goods from as far away as Mesopotamia and the Persian Gulf reached its markets. Fine beads, pottery, and copper tools were crafted with care, while seals engraved with mysterious symbols hint at an organized system of trade and communication. While we have not yet deciphered their written script, the uniformity of their seals and inscriptions suggests an organized administrative system. These were not random communities. These were cities connected by commerce, culture, and ideas, stretching across a vast region. The people themselves remain a puzzle. We know little about their rulers or religious beliefs. No monumental statues or palaces have been found, and their written language remains undeciphered. Yet, the artifacts that survive, ceramic figurines, jewelry, tools, and pottery, speak to a culture that appreciated art, craftsmanship, and daily life. Women are depicted carrying water or engaging in domestic life, while men are shown in various trades, hinting at a society with defined roles, but also one where organization and cooperation were essential. Children played in the streets, artisans worked in workshops, and merchants traveled across rivers and land routes, connecting distant settlements. The cities of the Indus Valley also reveal something remarkable about the environment in which they thrived. Built near the Indus River, these settlements depended on the river's flow, its seasonal floods, and the fertile land around it. Yet, living in harmony with nature also meant vulnerability. When the river shifted course or when climate changes brought droughts, these urban centers were forced to adapt or face decline. Today, the remnants of these cities lie dry and silent, but their location tells a story of resilience, ingenuity, and the constant human effort to shape the world while respecting its rhythms. Archaeology has only scratched the surface. While we have uncovered roads, houses, and even public baths, estimates suggest that nearly 70% of the Indus Valley Civilization remains buried beneath the soil. Each excavation reveals fragments of daily life, from the simplest pottery shard to the most carefully engraved seal. Every discovery draws a picture of a civilization that valued practicality, community, and intelligence. What makes Harappa and Mohenjo-Daro so captivating is not just their age or sophistication. It is the mystery that surrounds them. These cities rose to prominence, thrived for centuries, and then vanished from history, leaving almost no written records. The questions they raise are compelling. How did people live so efficiently thousands of years ago? How did they sustain large populations without the modern tools we take for granted? And what ultimately led to their disappearance? Each answer we uncover seems to reveal just a little more of a civilization that was both extraordinary and human in its simplicity. Standing among the ruins today, one cannot help but feel a connection across time. The orderly streets, the remnants of homes, the echoes of marketplaces, all whisper people who lived, worked, laughed, and dreamed in a world both foreign and familiar. Harappa and Mohenjo-Daro remind us that civilization is not only about grand monuments or famous kings. It is about the people who create a world that works, a society that thrives, and a culture that leaves a lasting impression long after it is faded from view. In exploring these cities, we do more than uncover bricks and artifacts. We reconnect with the ingenuity of our ancestors. We witness a society that balanced innovation with everyday life, that built cities to last, and that reminds us that the story of humanity is far richer than any single culture, kingdom, or empire. Harappa and Mohenjo-Daro do not just belong to South Asia. They belong to the world, and their story is one we are only beginning to understand. As the sun sets over the silent streets of Harappa and Mohenjo-Daro, one cannot help but feel the weight of history pressing gently upon the present. These cities, once alive with the rhythm of human life, children's laughter, merchants' calls, the clang of tools, now lie in quiet testimony to ingenuity, ambition, and the fragile beauty of civilization. They challenge us to imagine what it meant to live in a world so advanced, so carefully constructed, yet so vulnerable to the forces of nature and time. Every brick, every seal, every water channel is more than an artifact. It is a voice from the past, whispering stories of people who sought to organize, create, and thrive. But their story is more than history. It is a mirror. It reflects our own world, our cities, our technologies, and our struggles to balance progress with sustainability. The Indus Valley teaches that civilizations are not defined by monuments alone, but by how people live, cooperate, and adapt. It reminds us that even brilliance cannot guarantee permanence, yet knowledge, innovation, and culture endure far beyond physical walls. As we leave the ruins behind, we carry with us a profound question. What legacy will we leave for the future? Will our cities, our ideas, and our societies endure with the same quiet dignity, or will they vanish, leaving only traces of generations to uncover? The Indus Valley Civilization may have disappeared from view, but its lessons remain eternal, urging us to learn, reflect, and aspire, because the story of humanity is never truly lost.